sometimes everything that you're doing is not a dumpster fire. Everything does not have to be changed from scratch, but there are some small tweaks that can be made that will make a huge difference. Hey friends, I'm Rosemary Lewis, your homegirl, and I'm so excited that you are here. I do not care what it looks like on Instagram or HGTV. This whole being a realtor thing is not for the faint at heart. In 2017, I quit my job as a teacher to follow my real estate dreams and quickly found myself overwhelmed and struggling. Fast forward to today. Not only have I been recognized as one of the leaders in our industry, I have actually grown a business that I absolutely love. I don't care if you're a brand new agent trying to figure out how to get started or a veteran feeling overwhelmed and just stuck. I was just like you and I totally get it. Many times I wish there was someone that I could just talk to about all the challenges I was facing. And that is why I created this space just for you. Like best friends do, I'm giving you all the tea related to navigating and thriving in these real estate streets. If I can do it, guess what? That's proof that you can too. Everything's better with friends, so let's succeed together. Welcome to the Real Estate Bestie Podcast. Well, hello there, besties. It's your girl, Rosemary here, and welcome to episode number 64, where I am asking you the question, do you need a reset? But before we get into our topic today, first of all, let me thank our sponsors. Okay, just kidding. We don't have sponsors yet, but y'all see... You see how I'm bringing that thing into existence, that we are going to grow this platform until one day, like Coca Pepsi or somebody. Well, we're not going to be doing Coca Pepsi because we want to be fine in our real estate outfits, where like Smart Water is here to replenish ourselves and we hydrate, and they want to sponsor us one day. So I was bringing that into reality. But no, seriously, y'all, we have been at this podcast for just over 10 months and have really just started to grow so rapidly. And I just want to tell you all, thank you so much for listening, for downloading the episodes, for sharing it with your friends. And if you could, I say this all the time, but y'all, the way this podcasting world works is the more reviews and the more 5-star reviews and the more actual written reviews we get, then these algorithms, child. Y'all know we stay fighting the algorithms, but the algorithms will put Real Estate Bestie in front of other besties who are probably out here trying to swim, but they feel like they're sinking in this business and they will really benefit from being a part of our community. So every time you share it on your social media and you tag me, every time you leave a 5-star review, it really, really makes a big difference. So if you have not done that yet, then you know what? We real friends, and real friends forgive each other. So I forgive you, child. I know you've been busy. And look, we even going to talk about the busyness and needing resets today. But if you could just take one moment, like literally, you can even pause me right now. Go ahead and pause me, hit 5 stars on the review. As I'm saying this, we got 83 reviews and thousands of downloads each month. So let's change that. Give a review. And I just want to shout out to Realtor Shauna Marie. She said, this podcast has been so helpful and encouraging. I'm a new listener and I've been enjoying the episodes so much. Thank you so much, Rosemary. Keep them coming. Girl, I'm going to keep them coming, but I need y'all to keep these reviews coming. So thank you again. And listen, let's talk about our topic for today. So at the time that I am recording this episode, we are fresh into July. And I don't know about you, but as soon as July 1st hit, my social media feed was full of people that were saying, oh no, we are already 6 months away from 2024. And you only have, some of them were doom and gloom. And even if they didn't intend to be that way, that's the way it felt, like a sense of panic, right? That the year is passing us by. And I know that for many of us, at any checkpoint, like this just happens to be kind of a mid-year checkpoint. But when we have checkpoints, I find myself kind of in one or two areas, right? Either I'm in the area of where I'm like, oh, I feel very good and I feel very proud about what I've accomplished thus far. And because of that, I may tend to take my foot off the gas a little bit, thinking back to 2021 in particular, when the market was doing what it needed to do. I remember, y'all, that year by July, I had hit my annual production goal by July. And it just blew my mind. And though I ended up producing more throughout the year, I definitely kind of coasted a little bit. And that's sometimes what happens when we are at or ahead of our goal. Or you are on the side where you may be behind or there is still much work to do, and then there is that sense of panic, there is that sense of overwhelm, there is that sense of, oh my goodness, I have to get something cooking. Somebody out there right now, and I'm not going to point name no names because this is just honest and this is what we do here. There are somebody, I know there are people out there that are thinking to themselves, you know what, the year over. Like, I might as well just wrap it up and try to do better next year. And this whole episode is going to be dedicated to, first of all, me being honest with you about where I am and how I am resetting, right? And resetting, reevaluating, however you want to look at it, and just giving you some ideas of ways that if you feel like you need a reset, maybe you can take some of the things that I am applying, not just to my business, but to my life, and see what fits, right? If it's something that might fit for you, you can pick something up, great. And if not, don't feel pressure to do any of the things. But first, let me give y'all a really quick disclaimer. This don't have nothing to do with nothing, but I have to tell you because I was talking to my podcast editor. I stay making up words on this podcast, okay? So, sometimes when you get to talking and get to going, you're like, oh, was that? I will listen back sometimes and I'm listening like, oh my goodness, Rosemary, that is not the word. And I just want to tell y'all, okay? Look, don't come for me. Know that I love you. I know that you love me, but sometimes when I get to going, I just make up a word, and it is what it is, right? We real friends over here. We're not judging nobody. I'm not judging you. Don't judge me. But no, seriously, sometimes I cringe when I listen back to the episode. Kim, who is all the things in my life, she's not only my good friend, but y'all, my friend quit her whole job to come help me build out this thing. And she is I'm more of a high D, like expressive personality, and Kim is way, way more analytical. I grind her gears, so I told her, I was like, okay, I'm gonna retract on a podcast. So I did that for Kim. So everybody just send Kim a message and say, Rosemary, no, she be making up words. We still love her and we love the podcast. But anywho, okay, getting back to our topic about, do you need a reset? So here is the first thing that I want to just kind of start off with, is that there is nothing wrong with recognizing that you need to switch some stuff up. I literally had a situation today where I was getting dressed and I don't know, the outfit, it just was not giving, right? Like, not the way that I had it in my head. And I switched a shirt and I switched some earrings and voila, I felt fabulous. Okay. So the big thing is I had to recognize that, you know what, if I would have gone, even though I had this plan, it wasn't executing, the outfit wasn't giving me what I needed it to give. Instead of just saying, okay, forget it, I'm still going to leave the house. No, a few quick, small tweaks made all of the difference in the world. And I really want you to just think about, again, here we don't just talk real estate, we talk life. Sometimes everything that you're doing is not a dumpster fire. Everything does not have to be changed from scratch, but there are some small tweaks that can be made that will make a huge difference. And I just want to, first of all, start off by being very transparent to say, I really feel like I have been off my game, and yeah, I'm gonna stand by that. I feel like I have been off my game since probably the end of May. Okay. And there have been just a lot of different things. Ironically, business has been fine, right? But business has been fine. And this is why our habits are so important. My business has been fine because of the work that I did previously, that now my pipeline is full. But what I understand is the fact that I was a little bit thrown off from May until now. Come Q3, right? Come after the summer, I'm going to have to really, like right now, I had to do some resetting so that my pipeline doesn't dry up, right? So that I have a consistent flow of business, but also just a consistent flow of rhythm in my life. And since May, I have been dealing with, like, I know all of us, life be life in, right? And some of the things on the surface have been just, my son is not in school. So our routines are a little relaxed. And, there are certain habits that I have in the queue for have to do with his school schedule. And when he's not in school, I have been more lax. So I'll give you a great example. I put limits around, and you may have heard me say this before, around how much social media I consume and things like that. And one of my habits is that when he comes home from school, I will take Instagram or different apps off of my phone, because I know that not only will it affect my productivity in business, but it affects my focus with my family in the evenings. But guess what? Homie haven't been in school. So some of these things that I normally have in place, like protecting my nighttime routines and, getting up at a certain time, those routines have been way, way, way lax, right? And some weeks they've been non-existent when you throw in travel or hosting events and things like that. But then to go a little deeper dive personally, y'all, I've mentioned it a little bit on social media. Don't know if I've really talked about it here on the podcast, but my father has recently been diagnosed with dementia. And that is a whole different, and my mom passed away. She passed away, went to be with the Lord in December 2021. And since almost to say a year to the date that my mom passed away is when we started to notice these different signs in my father. And it just has been progressing, right? So just really trying to figure out the best course of action, the best treatment for him. Obviously, I would love to move him to Dallas. Y'all don't know, my daddy's in Chicago. I'm in Dallas. He ain't going though. So now I'm on the plane a lot. It's just been a lot, right? So I bring that up because sometimes we find ourselves a little thrown off, not because we just sitting around chilling, but I have been big chilling sometimes, but also life just is doing its thing, right? I have another friend who is battling through a very difficult diagnosis, and it has messed with me, just messing with how I'm showing up. And sometimes it's okay that we are human. And I just want to put that out there. And I wanted to share a little bit of my junk with you all, because, and I'm not going to call it junk, but just what's happening in my life, because things in life happen and it's unavoidable. Sometimes we feel like, y'all know I'm a believer. I love the Lord with all my whole heart. And, the baby Christian me thought that when you love Jesus, then it's just going to all be all the way up. And yeah, your spirit is all the way up, but you are definitely going to have trials and tribulations, and that can present a challenge, right? And those challenges can sometimes cause us to be stuck, can cause us to be disappointed. And then you add in a different real estate market, high interest rates. We are all in a business where we definitely are needing to do more activities to make the same money that we made in previous years, and it can feel like a lot. So y'all, I found myself scrolling the gram and just feeling a little discontented with myself. And I was like, okay, you know what though? I'm going to err on not, oh my goodness, half of the year is gone. Where did it go? But err on the side of, okay, this is a great time to pause and to reset. Okay. And let's talk about what that can look like. So the first thing is recognizing, giving yourself, it's kind of a gray area where you want to give yourself permission to reset, but not give yourself excuses, right? Just be honest about where you are, but then double back down and say, okay, here is how I'm going to start going into the direction so that I can prepare for my future self. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I know that I'm not alone. So what does that look like? So I'm going to tell you where I have started and something that I am so grateful for. Earlier this year, and I've shared with you, look, I'm at all the places, podcast, Instagram, I don't know, that read the 12-week year and did a 12-week year cycle with my team. And the 12-week year is a book. If you haven't picked it up, I highly, highly recommend you picking it up. It's available on Audible. I actually got the hard copy book because it's one of those books that I needed to make notes in and go through. And honestly, the person who's reading on Audible, their voice was a little distracting for me. It may not be distracting for you, but it was just a good resource to have the book. But the whole point of the 12-week year is for us to disrupt our annualized thinking, our annualized goals, and to really shrink down with the perspective that, okay, what I would normally try to accomplish in a year, let me put that down into 12 weeks. And what ends up happening is that how many bad weeks can you have if your year is only 12 weeks, if you're only looking at it from that, right? You can't afford to have, like right now, a lot of us or a lot of people are looking and half of the year is gone because we have approached our goals like we have so much time. And now that we are halfway into 2023, there is a sense of panic. And what 12-week year does, it challenges you to, first of all, look at realistic goals. Don't have 50, 11 million goals to do, but come up with 2 or 3 things that you want to accomplish and truly come up with a plan in order to accomplish those goals and tactics. Okay. Part of that is once you figure out what your goals are, you divide them up into, okay, now what are the tactics? What are the action steps that I am going to use to push myself forward to those goals? And now your focus shifts from the goal itself, but now we are more tactical. We are more tactic based, making sure that we're hitting those tactics. And just to add in a sense of accountability, it is encouraged to go through this with someone else. And you have these weekly accountability meetings where we're not measuring ourselves based on the actual goal, but on the tactics that will get us to the said goal, right? So you see where I'm going here. So what I did, luckily, our 12-week year had just wrapped, and I'm going to be 1,000,000% transparent. This was my first attempt the last 12 weeks ago at the 12-week year. And me and my team, I'm going to say we started off really strong. But as time went on, we definitely became more lax. So we finished the 12 weeks, I would say, at about 50% efficiency. And however, though, and this is the beautiful thing about having these things in place, even at 50% efficiency, I definitely saw strides in both business and personal life. So I can only imagine what it would look like if we would have completed with full efficiency the entire 12 weeks. And I'm even more so me on my personal goals than with team goals. So going into this next 12 weeks, this next part of the year, and deciding, okay, I need a reset, I definitely revisited the principles in the 12-week year. And now that I had almost a trial run with it, right, to really be a little bit more realistic with my tactics and my goals so that, I don't want it to be, oh my goodness, it's October. We're at the last quarter of the year. Where did the year go? No, I want to be proud of not necessarily what I accomplished, but proud of the effort, the consistent effort that I have been putting forth to become the person that I desire to become. And I know that you do too. So a couple of things. I'm going to share with you a couple of my goals that I have so that we can talk about just, there might be some things that resonate with you. So my very first one, y'all, is I had to really sit down and really think about where are things, like where am I, where would I need the most support right now, and what would my goal be? And this one wasn't actually, it's not financial. It wasn't, it wasn't a goal about like I need to be at this certain dollar amount or this certain, have these certain amount of things done. But the very first one was like, you know what? I want the goal to be executing my morning and night routine again at 90% efficiency. Like I said before, just with Cameron being out of school, like when there are not certain things in my environment that are pushing me towards honoring those routines, they can get a little loose. And as a result, I have felt a little bit off my game. And I know it's because I'm staying up way too late. I'm not waking up. I'm not as early as I would want to, or I'm tired when I do wake up, so forth and so on. So my very first thing that I'm working towards and my accountability group is helping me be accountable to is truly honoring my morning and night routines. Now, I always take y'all back here to episodes number 8 and 10 of the podcast. And if you want an idea of like how I would truly design my week, head on over to rosemarylewis.com/week, because that is an ideal week for me as a real estate agent. And right now, like, one of my number one goals, y'all, is to truly, number one, rest, right? To give myself not only a certain amount of sleep, but I want my sleep to be quality, meaning that I need to shut down the noise long before it's time to actually go to bed so that I can be present, right? So that I can be sharp, so that I can be all in for the business. So some of the things that I'm doing to reset is like, hey, now I have a time of 7 p.m. where I am off social. I'll move it up when my son's back in school, but I'm off social at 7 p.m. I have my bedtime set for 10:30. It's normally 10 during the school year, but it gets to be 10:30 because I don't have to be up as early with him. And then I have certain things that I want to accomplish every morning. Number one, spending time with God in quiet time, in prayer and worship, and reading the word. Then I want to work out. Then I want to take my puppies for a walk. And then after I do those things, then I get my phone back, right? So making sure that I am being intentional about pouring this time into myself, which, with the stress of my daddy and, Cameron being out of school and hosting events and all that, I've kind of let that not be the priority that it needs to be. And I always, you will probably hear me preach this 11 million times, because I truly believe that when you book in your day, when you start your day strong and you end it strong, it adds such a wonderful quality to what happens in the middle of your day. So that's definitely one that on the surface, it doesn't quite seem like a business goal, but trust me, it is. Okay, then my next goal, I'm not going to give you all the number. And I'm purposely not going to give you the number because I do not want anyone here to measure their success or what they feel like they should be doing in their business based on what Rosemary feels like she needs to be doing in my business, right? Some of you are starting out, so your number isn't going to be quite as high as mine. And some of you, would sell me under the table, and that's cool too, right? We all have to run our race. But my next one was to be very clear on how much new business I need to execute over the next 12 weeks, right? And I will tell you all that this year, I had to look at my goal from two aspects, because when I look at what I want to close all the way through in 2023, I definitely, what I desire in production does not look the way that it used to look, right? I used to want the number to be a lot higher. But when I really look at the quality of my life, when I really look at what my family needs, what we need, and then also what would allow, like, I need to make this much in real estate so that I have the opportunity to coach agents, right? So that I have the opportunity to do the podcast and to do speaking engagements and things like that. My real estate number does not look the way that it used to look, and it's okay. But I'm going to tell you, as a result, this year, and you add in the market, at this point in the year, y'all, I'm used to making more money than I've had. Now, every need and pretty much every want, y'all, has been met. As a matter of fact, this month I'm on a no spending spree because I'm out here spending money like I'm El Chapo or something, and I should not do that. I know y'all do it too. Like Amazon here every single day. Like, no, we're not living our life like that. But there was a point, even though I'm on track, I'm just bringing this up to say I am ahead of schedule and on track for where I want to end the year, there was still that kind of imposter syndrome, panic that set in because the numbers don't look exactly the way they did years before. And the reality is I really don't want to look that way, right? Because if they look that way, I wouldn't have the capacity to do these other things that I enjoy doing in life. But please believe real estate is still my priority right now. But anywho, my 12-week goal, I was very clear on not, I'm not focused on the number that I need to hit by December 31st, but I am very focused on, based on the next 12 weeks, how much do I need to execute in new business, right? And I look at my ratios, like you have to know your numbers, right? I know for me, 95% of my deals, if I execute the contract, they are going to close because I already have closings that were on the books for this 12 weeks, but I don't want to count that into my number, if that makes sense, right? I want to hold myself accountable to say, no, you need to have signed contracts at this amount of production. You need to make this much money in real estate. And then how do I do that though, right? Because I'm not going to, the whole point of 12-week year is not to focus on the number, but to focus on my activities. And y'all, the number one activity is picking up the phone. Like the number one activity to get where I want to be is picking up the phone, right? So I have very specific guidelines in terms of, okay, how much time do I need to spend on the phone? I have very specific guidelines to say, okay, how much time am I going to devote to nurturing and maintaining my CRM, right? Because when I nurture and maintain my CRM, then my CRM is going to do work for me when I'm not actually on the phone in terms of looking at the behaviors of past, present, and future clients so that when I do call them, I'm sending them relevant information and I can have conversations about that. But if I don't never have time to nurture my CRM and I'm sending people stuff that they're no longer interested in, then guess what's going to happen? They're going to unsubscribe and I'm going to miss some opportunities. So a part of my tactics over these next 10 weeks or 12 weeks is to really hone in into, making the phone calls, but also making sure that I am sending relevant information within the CRM. Then here is the next thing that I am doing, y'all. I have some, if I never had to leave my neighborhood to sell a house, that would be the best life that I could live. But if I'm being honest, right, I have kind of been coasting off of relationships instead of going back to some very tactful farming activities for my neighborhood. And in a future episode, we'll talk about different ways to farm where you live. So over the next 12 weeks, I'm being very specific on some things that I'm going to be doing in order to farm my neighborhood, right? So those are the things. And then here is the last goal, y'all, for my reset is I just have a personal goal, right? A personal goal as it relates to weight. Like we all friends here, we can talk. And I'm going to say this out loud because I think if I say it out loud, it will further challenge me to honor my commitment. I really am working towards eliminating my relationship with alcohol. And I am not a huge drinker, but like your girl loves some cocktails. I love a good spicy margarita. Prosecco is my homie. But as I get older, it's not serving me anymore. And I know that I'm doing it out of routine. And as a part of that, it's not helping me with my weight. Because when you drink, you get snacky and, or it's just wasted calories, even if I'm not snacky. So one of my goals it is actually a number that I would love to see on the scale. And part of the accountability group is holding me accountable to what I am consuming, right? What I am consuming in terms of good foods that my body will benefit from, or things that I may need to think differently about or only consume sometimes. So I have some very specific things in my plan in terms of my tactics to help me get to that number and get to that goal of eliminating alcohol from, stopping my relationship with alcohol. And, all of these things now, is this all going to happen overnight? No. Am I going to be 1,000,000% perfect right off the bat? No. Am I ever going to be perfect? Probably not. But what I am going to do is that I have addressed what I want, right? When you put out any goal, what you're saying is that, okay, my future self, this is what my future self does, right? My future self is this type of producer. My future self has a body like this. My future self has a relationship with the Lord like this. My future self honors their time like this. And I am putting out this goal because the future self, this is who I desire to be. But in order for me to become my future self, there are some things that my today self will have to do. And some of the things that I'm sharing with you, or I've shared with you, are the tactics that I am going to put in place so that on a daily basis, I am voting for my future self. And well, what does that look like for you, right? So I'm going to first, ask you to just be honest about where you are. When you saw all of those messages about it being halfway through the year, Were you excited about that, or did that send some panic through you? And wherever you are, it's okay. But now, what can you do? I'm going to strongly encourage you to pick up the 12-week year. And I will tell you, for somebody like me, I am definitely like, the details are not my favorite. And when I say the details, I'm not talking about the details in the book. I'm talking about the details in anything, right? I'm a big picture thinker, and I don't necessarily like to get caught up in the weeds. So sometimes for people like me, this can feel overwhelming, right? To have to go through and be very detailed to really analyze where you are so that you can figure out where you need to be. But this is the work that is going to get you to the next level. So I'm going to encourage you, pick up the 12-week year. If you get it, like maybe that's the first step. Pick it up, y'all, screenshot it, send it to me on social. Say, girl, I am ready for a reset. And some of you, it might just be like, look, I just need to hammer in this bedtime, right? My strategies and my systems are going, but I just need to go to sleep. And for some of you, it's going to be something completely different that I did not mention. But here is what I know. And this is what I know about God and Holy Spirit. And this is why I love it, is that even if nothing that I mentioned for myself, like you already know, okay, what is that thing for you that you need to do? And the first thing is that you are capable. You have not missed out. Okay. Yes, we are a little bit more past than halfway through the year, but that means that you have almost a half of a year to make some progress, right? You're not supposed to be Beyonce by December 31st, but you are supposed to be the best version of yourself. So hope this was helpful. Again, if any part of this episode resonated with you, or if you can think of somebody, and this is what I know about Real Estate Bestie, that we got a whole bunch of besties listening that nowhere in real estate, but what we're talking about here, it can resonate to their career, it can resonate to their parenting, to their relationships. So if you would just hit that arrow, go ahead and share this podcast, screenshot it, post it to your social, tag me at Rosemary the Realtor, and I will see you next week, or I will talk to you next week. Bye, y'all. If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button, because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.